It's Wednesday night, and that means it's time for the Lamar Thomas Show, featuring the greatest receiver in the history of college football. Just ask them, Lamar Thomas.
I was born in Ocala, Florida. I moved to Gainesville to go to high school. Been recruited probably since the 9th grade, illegally, I might add, by the University of Florida. I still can remember Coach Solinger, Don Solinger, coming out to our practice one day. Here it is, this guy comes out in the University of Miami jacket, and I said, I can't believe that's Miami out here. And, you know, I wanted to go up and say, hey, I'm Lamar Thomas. And actually, I did walk up to him and I said, hey, Coach, I'm Lamar Thomas. And he said, I know. And that was the start of my relationship with the University of Miami.
Another good block, and Toretto lays it out.
You come down here, you'll be on TV every weekend, dominating. I thought about it. I said, man, where do I sign? My mom, on Saturday mornings, I would wake up and she'd be holding my hand. I thought she was the weirdest lady in the world. But she was holding my hands and she would be rubbing them and saying, one day these hands are gonna make you a lot of money. She was smart.
So now, here he is, the great one, along with co-host Gary Ferman of CaneSport.com, Lamar Thomas.
The great one in the house. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back. It's Wednesday night, and that means it's time for the Lamar Thomas Show. And man, do we have a big-time show ahead for you guys tonight. The great Warren Sapp is going to be in the house tonight, Lamar.
Yeah, how about that? The great Warren Sapp. I am so excited about having a player of his stature on this show. I mean, this is on a week where we need some pick-me-up. I'm very excited. We have a great guest.
Well, Lamar, we'll be honest, is in Orlando taking care of some XFL business, and but through the magic of technology, yeah, he's got to put his coaching hat on. But through the magic of technology, we can transplant Caneswear into Lamar's background, and of course, we'll put the scroll on the bottom of the screen. The Lamar Thomas Show is presented by Caneswear, the place for all your Canes game day needs. You can visit their store on University Drive in Davie, or you can shop at caneswear.com. And we'll be talking to you guys later in the show tonight about some of the great things at Caneswear with the Miami Knights promotion, Lamar.
Yes.
Coming up for Florida State Week. And let's start the conversation right there. Okay, why not? Before we talk about last weekend's game against Duke. How surprised were you to find out that Miami FSU this year is going to be primetime ABC, a national TV audience? Miami gets to roll out Miami Knights and try to win a football game that can change the mood in the room, change the narrative a little bit.
I was very surprised. I was already ready for a 9 a.m. game. I mean, these two teams have struggled this year. And the fact that you're putting these two teams on at 7:30 at night, man, they must be really reaching on that. I mean, but, it is what it is. It's a rivalry game, and it's always been one of the top games in the country. And, yes, that both teams are struggling, but you have to throw the records out the window. It really means something to pride. There's really no rivalry between the University of Miami and the University of Florida because they took us off the schedule because they said that they were tired of getting beat. But Florida State and Miami, it's always been a rivalry for the top team in the state of Florida. Unfortunately, it's not for that anymore. Not this year. It's just for bragging rights. And actually tonight at Buffalo Wild Wings, I saw a couple of Florida State guys that are here to try out in Orlando for the XFL team, and I was razzing them a little bit, and they really feel confident. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you? Even though you suck.
Did you remind them that they lost 3 in a row?
Of course, I had to remind them of that, and I said, hey, throw the records out the window. You guys are struggling just as much as we are. And I even saw Darrell Williams. His son is working out for us. Darrell Williams, who used to play for the University of Miami, his son was working out. So, it's going to be a very interesting game. But at 7:30, it's going to be a lot of liquored up people. Let me tell you.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. A lot of Canes fans have been expressing their concern about the showcase on national TV that night. They don't feel confident about the game. They're concerned of the repercussions of Florida State handling the Miami Hurricanes on national TV, and they would have preferred the game be a noon game. My response to that is, are you guys out of your minds? Like, this is an opportunity, Lamar. This season has not been going well. This is an opportunity to put a good football game together and make a good showing of yourself and change the mood around the program a few weeks before you're getting ready to go out on the road recruiting. I think that they have hand-delivered this opportunity to Miami. I think it was done by Adidas because Adidas needed a night game to showcase those Miami Knights jerseys and T-shirts and everything that they've invested enormous amounts of money in. Correct. And I think they pulled some strings, Lamar, to get that game on prime time.
Well, somebody pulled some strings. It's 7:30 at night. This is prime time. You can't get any better than this. I mean, obviously back in the day, the 12 noon games, were prime, but this is what it's about now. So this is a great opportunity for the University of Miami and Florida State because when else? Florida State was on TV earlier in the year against LSU and was able to play well. We were on TV against Texas A&M and we played okay. So it's a great opportunity. I mean, as a player, you look forward to these types of moments where you can become a household name. Nobody's watching the game that starts at 9 a.m. So, this is an opportunity for some of these guys that might not have been known. The one thing that I'm hoping for, though, is that the fans come out. Yes. I'm hoping they come out because if they don't come out, it really is a bad showing where they pan the crowd and you lose momentum. You might even lose 1 or 2 recruits by a bad showing as far as fans. Even though it's a tough year, you want to still see your fans come out. So hopefully we can continue to play better ball and have some momentum going into that Florida State game. So at least we won't be outnumbered because the guys from Tallahassee are coming to the game. The people from Tallahassee are coming to the game because this is an opportunity for them to come, kick our butts, and go to South Beach and get arrested and get their cars towed. How about that?
Well, we'll obviously be talking a lot more about that game next week, but I guess, Lamar, we've delayed the inevitable here as long as we can.
It's a good try, Gary. Good try.
I did. It was a good effort on my part. But before the Canes get to Florida State, obviously they have a road trip this weekend to Virginia. It is looking like Jake Garcia is going to be the quarterback this week, and Tyler's going to need a little bit of time to recover from the beating that he took against Duke. So let's start there, Lamar. Jake Garcia had a chance to come in last week and looked really good for a few moments, but overall you probably have to give him a C- because of the way the bulk of the second half went. Now he gets likely a fresh opportunity here this week. How much do you think that means to Jake Garcia?
I think it means a lot to him. I mean, this is his opportunity. He probably felt like, last year it was his to lose when he got hurt, and all of a sudden TVD comes in and takes his starting position. So he's been sitting there, and kudos to the kid. He could have left. Obviously money plays a part in it. I mean, maybe that's why he stayed. I'm sure he's doing well. His pocket is fine. It's one of those things that now everybody cheers for the backup guy, and you get your opportunity. You better make the best of it, because there's another backup guy that we'll be cheering for if you don't do well. And I tell you this, he did some good things. I won't say great. He did some good things, but there was some bad. And, you got to be able to know where the blitz is coming from, to be able to get the ball out of your hands, both quarterbacks, matter of fact. I thought Duke had a great game plan, was able to do some things it looked like confuse University of Miami's offensive line, because they really looked confused majority of the time. And it caused the quarterbacks to become gun shy after your main quarterback goes down with the shoulder injury. Then your backup quarterback comes in. He's doing pretty decent. Then he gets hit in the mouth a couple of times, misses some blitzes where he is he's the guy that needs to know where the blitz is coming from. And then when they have great protection, he's gun shy and he throws the ball to the other team. I mean, 8 turnovers, Gary. 8. You cannot win a ball game with 8 turnovers. That is entirely too much. Not even the great Alabama teams can win with 8 turnovers.
Now, how many times in your football life have you ever seen that many turnovers in a game?
Once. One other time. It was Western Kentucky against Tennessee, and we did it in succession, like 6 turnovers in a row, and Tennessee made us pay. And they played freaking Rocky Top too many times. So I've seen it happen before, and you can't win a ball game. I don't care what you do after that. You're so far behind, and momentum-wise, it takes so long to get back in it. You're down. I mean, we did some things after that, just like Miami was able to get in the game. But overall, you can't win a ball game like that.
You mentioned Duke and what they were doing on defense, and let's remember that Jess Simpson, their defensive line coach, was at Miami for several years. And he knew Miami's offensive line personnel very well, and probably gave a scouting report on the whole roster, quite frankly. But they obviously felt like they could do some crazy stuff in that game, Lamar. There was a play, at least one, and it might have been more than one, where they sold out and they sent 5 guys from one side of the line of scrimmage, the left side, knowing that Miami, no chance, could pick them up and wouldn't be ready for that. And it worked. I think that was the play they got the strip sack on Tyler Van Dyke. Yeah,
they did some things where they kind of knew, unfortunately, sometimes the other guy had your number. And they had Gaddis's number a couple of times in the game. There was one sack where the receiver was pointing at the guy that was coming, and the quarterback never acknowledged it. And he could have thrown it to the back, and I think the back might have been the hot, flaring to the left. But the pressure was coming from the right, and Jake was waiting, or was it TVD? One of them was waiting on a mesh route, and they knew it was coming. And by the time he went to look back to the mesh route, he was hit in the mouth. And that might have been one of the fumbles too. I mean, it was a beatdown. They did some good things. Now, we also had some good plays. I like what I saw from number 88, number 85, the tight end, Mallory. Young number 88 did well in the beginning of the game. There were some flashes, and I don't know what Mallory's injury was. Is he out, or is he?
No, I think I believe he's okay. Yeah.
Okay, and he looked good up until he got hurt. So what this does a lot of the times, it gives that person that's been sitting there waiting on an opportunity to play. And I've said this over and over again. Miami will not be truly successful until they build depth, and the depth it causes competition. And if your depth is good, then every day you're coming to practice to win your job, to get better, because you know the guy behind you is clicking at your heels and he's eating at you, and he can't wait to get in. And if he's better, it only makes the team better. So once we're able to build that type of depth where there's no fall off, where that starter plays 70% of the time and that guy comes in for 30 and he's doing just as good of a job, that's when we'll be able to compete for respectability. How about that?
But you know, what Duke was doing, Lamar, was not sound football. You know, in a lot of cases. You know, talk about that from a coaching perspective. I mean, you just say we are going to do things that are unsound because we don't feel they are going to be ready and they're going to be able to take advantage of it.
Well, it's just one of those things where it's about communication. The O-line has to communicate. The quarterback has to be able to communicate with the O-line to be able to turn protections. The back has to be able to block and know where, if he has to scan and come across the block, he has to know. The receivers have to know their hot routes. They have to know if the guy comes free. I mean, but it all depends on the offense. The majority of the offenses that I played in, they were built to protect the quarterback. And, you know, when there's a guy coming that's lined up in front of you and he's coming in the blitz, there should be a guy behind him trying to cover you, and there's a window for you to get the ball fast. But again, I just didn't see those quarterbacks picking it up, or there were no hot routes per se. And I don't know his offense. I'm just saying what I saw. There's no reason for guys to be able to get hit in the mouth that many times. I mean, it got bad. I mean, you knocked one quarterback out and the second guy became gunshot. That one interception he threw to the left side, I think it was on Miami sideline. Who the hell was he throwing to? He did not see the guy underneath.
Within 20 yards of that ball.
Yeah,
I'm guessing he underthrew it.
Yes, he underthrew it, but it was a three-man rush.
I know. I've never seen Jake Garcia look that bad on a play.
And on top of that, he pump faked to that side.
Yeah.
Like he pump faked to the same side he was throwing to. Like was he trying to move to safety? I don't know what happened. So there's some serious issues that are going on with that offense, that offensive line. You know, and defensively, I mean, there's some issues going on there too. The fact that you don't know they're running a quarterback draw. I mean, there was an old school quarterback draw too, where the guy drops back and stands there like a statue, and then he takes off. I mean, there was lack of gap integrity. I mean, two guys, they stopped it one time. Leonard Taylor stopped it. He spun into it, caused the quarterback to cut back. The next time they sent a blitz, they stopped it, and then after that, they couldn't stop it. It was, and it wasn't truly the linebacker's fault either. A couple times, it looks like they were playing Tampa 2, where the linebacker has basically a third, and there's nobody in there. And so, I mean, they just had our number that day, defensively and offensively. And, you know, then we had a turnover on special teams. So when you do all that, you can't win.
No. You don't see the quarterbacks audibling in this offense. And maybe that was part of the reason why Duke did some of the things they did. They're sitting there thinking the quarterback can't change the play. You know, they don't have hot reads.
Right.
You know, we can get away with this. And it worked. Well,
I mean, they did something. I mean, and so what you have to do after a butt whipping like that, you got to go back. And you can't say we're putting this game to bed, because you got to go back over all those mistakes, because you know the next team or a team down the line is going to do it. That's called advanced scouting. There's somebody that, you know, is watching that film right now, 2 games from now, and saying, oh, they can't stop this. Oh, they can't do this. Oh, they can't do that. And they're going to run it. So you got to be able to go over all those issues. It was bad. And you know what was really bad is I was on the West Coast during the game. And so I didn't even know the butt whooping was going on at that time. I had the people out in San Diego were like, hey, Miami's getting their butts kicked. No way. We're playing Duke, man. Oh, you better check this out. And I was like, oh, my goodness. So I had to watch it because that's my job to watch it. And it was cringeworthy of watching. I mean, it started off well.
So let me ask you something. So Chris Kapoor, one of our viewers, says, is Lamar going to sugarcoat the loss?
I can't. How can I sugarcoat it? I am a Canes fan, unless I'm working against them. Let's make sure we get that right, because I'm trying to win, baby. But that was bad. You can't. I mean, you got to improve, and you got to run people out there that don't want to be there. And I'm not talking about just players. I'm talking about staff. I'm talking about janitors. You got to get people in there that want to be there.
You put a whole organization like this together in 1 year, Lamar, and you're going to have to make some changes.
Well, they're not going to all be home run hires. Right. They're not going to all be home run recruits, whether it's transfers or recruits. You have to weed them out. And, he came in with a lot of fanfare, got a lot of money, gave a lot of money out to staff members. And on paper, it looks like a great staff. And all those guys are great. I've been around them. Some of those kids that came in that, fanfare, it's just not working out.
Something is not clicking the way that Mario wants it to click.
Correct.
And he will make changes. There's no doubt.
He's gonna make changes. I mean, we all know you're gonna lose fans, you're gonna lose players, you're gonna lose coaches. Bottom line is you're still there, and you got to make it right somehow, some way.
All right, let's bring in the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, who hopefully has gotten a little bit of his voice back since last weekend. And if not, Bruce, we'll send you to bed early.
I'm drinking tea with honey, but I just was in court for 5-hour trial, and my client was so bad, the judge had her arrested and taken to jail. She was horrible. So anyway, I'll have a little bit of a voice. Let me ask you this, LT. Talking about the quarterback not getting rid of the ball, aren't you supposed to have a safety valve? You have a clock in your head, and he sees somebody coming, he's got to dump the ball off. He can't eat the ball like that. And the second is, if Miami knew, and again, I'm trying to be the voice of the fan and not just throwing the players under the bus. If you know that quarterback is one of the best running quarterbacks in the nation, why isn't there a buy on him?
I've seen a lot of. Let's handle the defensive question first. I've seen a lot of stubborn football over the last couple of weeks. Take, for example, Alabama. They were stubborn against Tennessee. They in the stack formation, they would not get out of it as far as having the corner take number one and number two, who has a free run at a safety that's 10 to 12 yards flat-footed. You're better than that. You at some point you have to adjust. You have to say, hey, you know what, this is not in our game plan, but we have to adjust to this. This quarterback is killing us. Let's stop that. And let's make them throw the ball. I mean, they knew we were in man-to-man. They sent a lot of motion. If you watch the game, they ran in motion a lot, and that was to tell whether we were in man or zone. And once they knew we were in man, they ran it. They knew the quarterback had free run because everybody's disappearing. And when one of the things that we taught Lamar Jackson at the University of Louisville on mesh routes, when he saw man-to-man and those linebackers disappear, run it. There's nobody in there. Then everybody's chasing. So
we talked about what the other teams are going to do about Ja'Cory Brown on a handful of plays, and you said 20 minutes. Don't you think Miami should have spent 45 minutes on this kid running the ball? How do you not? I think that's Steele's problem. And what the hell happened?
Yeah, that's very interesting because you knew that guy. The only way that guy was going to beat you is with his feet. So, I mean, and on the offensive side, it's just a lot going on, man.
Lamar, how do you turn the ball over 8 times? Rationalize that. How does that happen?
That's a hard one, man.
He ran that kickoff back. He had it in the right hand. He just cut him to the left. So it's easy for them to pop the ball out. It should have been away from the guys coming at him.
Well,
But he holds it in his right hand no matter which way he goes, if you notice that.
Well, we've all made some mistakes running the football now, so we can't judge everybody.
You mean hit when you're running down the field with the ball in the wrong hand?
Yeah, and ball in the outside arm,
It's happened to the greatest of them.
It's happened to the best of them, so we can't. You know, it was just unfortunate because, you know, momentum. You know, it's momentum, and you know, the kid has been doing great on those kickoff returns. And to have a fumble like that, that basically you kind of just snatched it from him. And you know what? I just think those guys from Duke did a great job of scouting the University of Miami. They did an awesome job. They knew us better than we knew ourselves. Now we were able to get back in that ball game and had an opportunity to do some good, but they just kept coming, man, and you know, they beat us. I mean, there's no sugarcoating, and I'm glad that Mario is just like, look, we got to get better. There's nothing you really can say. You got your butts kicked. I mean, the Middle Tennessee was a straight butt kicking. This game was a straight butt kicking.
Prepared too. They were very well prepared.
Yes. So I mean, it's been some butt kickings this year. So there's some kids that are going to have to hit that portal. And there's going to be some, hopefully, because you got to make it hard on them. You know, you just can't I wouldn't say the season is a complete loss, but, you know, it can be there very fast if we continue to play like we did against this last team. And Virginia is licking their chops.
Yeah,
and they ain't that good either.
Better from this week. I mean, is there anybody coming back that should be back? Not Zion. He's probably out for the season. So and then you know, the center got hurt, so they have to Ty Black back in there. So you know, I expect more of the same. But that's why they got to get rid of the ball quickly. He can't be taking 7-step drops. Got to get rid of the ball. And
well, I know I'm just reading the comments. The guy was talking about the Young, you know, not knowing the playbook at first. He probably didn't, but you saw they had to teach him. When you have a talent like that, I know for sure that head coach said, hey, I don't give a damn, teach that guy. Spend time, get him right, call plays that he feel comfortable running, spend more extra time with him. Hell, you might have to break some rules, but the guy needs to be taught. And, you know, he's been playing well. He has been playing well, and he's actually is a bright spot for us right now.
How good is he? How, to your eye, Lamar? How good is Colby Young?
Well, he's a big body receiver, man. He's you know, because he's a big body receiver, he helps the quarterbacks with their catch radius. You don't have to be as accurate with, you know, that you have to be with little guys. Little guys, you have to be accurate. Big guys, they give you a bigger catch radius, and we saw that since he's a bigger guy, he can break tackles. He put the ball in his hands. I mean, that touchdown, he just shook that guy off like a flea. And it was beautiful. I think the thing that I like about what I've heard about him, that he's very humble and he's a hard worker. And you know, he's coming out of JUCO, man. You know, those guys, it's not easy in JUCO. And so he's gotten this opportunity, and he's looks like he is running with it. And I like watching what he's doing. I'm just hoping it continues to become contagious, because at some point another defensive coordinator said, okay, well, this is all they got. This is all they got. Let's take this guy away, and let's see if Frank Lapson, let's see if Romello Brinson, let's see if these other guys can make plays. And then we're in trouble.
Yeah. So that leads to the next question, which would be, how easy is it to take away a wide receiver? Did anybody ever take Lamar Thomas out of a game?
Let's hear it.
I mean, let's see. It took me out of the game. I mean, I wasn't. You really. I mean, other than me taking myself out against Alabama with my stupid mistakes. You know, I can tell you this. The only time I felt like a team that game planned me and they did an awesome job is Florida State. And that was in 1991, I think, when the first wide right. So we had decided we were not going to throw at T-Buck because he was a playmaker. You know, you can't let a guy like that change the momentum in the game, because if he gets an interception, no one's catching him. So we had decided that we were not going to challenge him. There were other ducks on the field that we could go after. So that's what we had decided. And what Florida State did is on third downs, they put T-Buck over me. So, and they knew I was Gino's safety blanket on third down. So they put him over me, and it basically nullified me, because we had already decided that we were not going to throw at him because he was a dynamic player, you know, and you don't want to give a guy like that an opportunity to change the momentum in the game, because that's what he was. So, you know, other guys had to step up. Coleman Bell had a great game. Horace Copeland had that catch down on 4th and 6 against T-Buck. And Stephen McGuire had a big game running the ball. Larry Jones. I mean, other guys had to step up. So, I mean, it is what it is. You don't get frustrated because you know what's going on. It's all I was happy about was the win, the dub. You know, I think I caught one pass that game, kept my streak alive. But I cared more about that dub, because that was the only way we were even going to be considered to go to the national championship.
Okay, but what you just said that's a mano match.
Right.
That's like we're taking T-Buck and we're putting him on Lamar.
Correct.
Okay, so if Lamar's not good enough to win that one-on-one matchup, I guess essentially they're taking Lamar out of the game.
Right.
So Virginia, Florida State, they can put their best corner on Colby Young. And if Colby's not good enough, I guess they are taking him out of the game. But can they do it schematically if they don't have that guy?
You can roll your coverages to a guy. You can roll your coverages to a guy, take him away. You got 2-3 guys over there because you're rolling the coverage to him, and you kind of have to figure out what they're doing. And but at least the backside, if you're rolling one way, then you're leaving something open on the backside, and that's where the other guy has to be successful. And you need another go-to guy. You got to go to number 2. Sometimes you got to go to number 3, and they have to be ready. And you know, unfortunately, it's respect, and you can get you can get frustrated. Penn State rushed 3 and dropped 8. We won the game. You know, we won the game. I remember Coach Erickson saying, "What's open?" I said, "Nothing. Keep running it." He looked at me like, "What, Coach?" I saw D lineman back there with me. So I was like, "Coach, just keep running it, man." Larry Jones and Donnell Bennett had a field day that day, and we got the win. Can't be stubborn. We have another championship in 1987, or was it 86? If they wouldn't have been stubborn. That game, Alonzo Highsmith and Melvin Bratton had a whole bunch of yards running, but we got stubborn and kept trying to throw the ball.
Kept letting Vinny throw those picks.
And how many did he throw? He almost threw 8.
5.
God, that's close to 8. Can't win games. You have to be able to say, hey, you know what? This is what they're doing. Identify it and say, you know what? Let's just go. And you got to put your pride aside. You can't worry about if we get the win. That's what it's all about. Yeah, you didn't show up. No, I showed up. I got a ring. I only had 1 catch, but we got the win.
So here's the question. They know we can't run the ball.
Right.
And if they're going to roll a safety or somebody on Young, you're the offensive coordinator. What are you doing with the personnel that we have right now? What do you do? Quick outs, bubble screens. What do you do?
Man, you try to get that ball out of his hands as fast as you can. And, you know, once you get the ball in those guys' hands, hopefully we can make some guys miss. You just don't want to take away your momentum with those sacks, man. Those sacks are drive killers. They also, as we well saw, we turn the ball over, they get momentum. So I would say go with the quick game. The run game is not there right now. Go with the quick game. Just try to throw it around the yard a little bit. Have those guys try to get out the box. And then once they get out the box, hopefully your O-line can open a hole or two, and hopefully,
or some rollout, and maybe dump it off to the tight end. Or Skinner played. He's so damn. He's dropped the ball, I think, in every game so far. But but I don't trust Rooster anymore. I don't think Gary.
Yeah.
And so that's a mess. Having a kid like that who keeps putting the ball on the floor.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because he did so much for the program last year. It's just something going on with that kid. Man, so much high hopes for him coming into this year. He's coming back like, yes, Rooster. And it's just those bad fumbles at bad times.
Bad. He's gone from being a superstar, Lamar, to being beneath horrible.
Yeah,
beneath horrible. There's no sugarcoating it.
It's just, and it's just again, it's just bad timing. I mean, no fumble is good, but his fumbles are bad because
his fumbles against North Carolina and Duke directly contributed to those losses. The miscut that he had when he had a wide open lane to the end zone, the offensive line blocking was probably the best on a single play than it's been at any point this season up there at Texas A&M. I don't know if you remember that play. Mm-hmm. And he got tackled by the shoelace instead of cutting sharp to his left and taking the lane to the end zone. They might have won that game if he makes that play and scores a touchdown, Lamar. I mean, the disappearance of Rooster to me has had a massive impact on this season.
Well, when you have a lot of backs, there's not much expectations, but when you become the guy and the pressure's on you, you see a lot about people. It's okay when again, it's like being the backup quarterback. You're good when you come in and throw it around a little bit at the end of the game and maybe a guy goes down, you make a quarterback change, you come in. But when it's your chance, you really see what kids are made out of and what players are made out of, because now they go from being unscouted and unheard of or, unappreciated to, okay, we need you and let's see what you got. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, when we scored the 2 touchdowns in a row and they got the ball inside the 5 or something like that, to me, that was the turning point. What on earth was our defense doing that they went right down the field? We had missed tackles, bad angles, all kinds of things happening. Like we didn't even scout them at all. That we could have blown them out had we taken the ball away, maybe 3 and out or 1 first down, because our offense was doing well. That was like a 18-play drive.
Yeah, it was long. When I was watching the replay, I said, "Jesus Christmas!" They still got the ball. I went to the bathroom and came back, and I didn't have to rewind it. Order pizza.
Yeah, it was long, all right.
Man, I mean those are. But again, you as a defensive coordinator, I've never been a defensive coordinator, but I would think you want a team to go on a long drive that's better than the 3-play touchdown drive against Middle Tennessee State. You give them an opportunity to make mistakes, but they didn't make mistakes, obviously. But you kind of want them because you want to bend but don't break. Hopefully they screw up overthrown pass or a fumble or a missed block, something. But they did 18 and it was all good 18.
It's so-called bend but don't break defense. Who the hell ever let Miami play like that? Not that I ever knew, except for D'Onofrio.
I don't think it was intentional.
Don't bring that name up, please. Don't bring D'Onofrio up.
They should have gone after this kid.
I think Kevin Steele has become spooked, guys. I think his nature is to go after it a little bit.
Right.
But they gave up those 6 deep balls that changed the season, and I think it has spooked him, and he's not being as aggressive as he probably normally would be. And I think it's hurting the defense that he's not. I think this defense is not good enough to just sit back and play like that. And I think that 17-play drive,
all the rotating that you talked about 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, way too much rotation. That there's no doubt about that. But I'm just saying, I don't think this defense is good enough to sit back. I think they have to go after people because they aren't going to hold up, sitting back for 10, 15 plays.
Right. 18 plays and they still scored. It's hard to believe. So you might have been better off letting him a 3-play drive. At least you have plenty.
No more 3-play drives, man.
No
more. I think I'm sitting here texting Mr. Sapp. I think I sent him the wrong link. I sent him the studio. No, I sent him the YouTube,
the show link. Did
you
get him the right link? Here, go ahead and take a minute, get him the right link, and let's hear from our friends at Caneswear.
Welcome to Caneswear. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has all latest merchandise for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Inter Miami Soccer, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of I-595, or online at Caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
Nicest guys over there. The nicest.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, they do a good job over there. I can't wait to get back and get me some more gear.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh man.
So did you get Warren the right link?
I'm trying. We'll see.
I just sent it to you again in a single email, so you can forward that to him.
Okay, I'll forward it to him. Go ahead.
In the meantime, in addition to Caneswear, the show is sponsored by the law office of Christine Rosendahl, Esquire, PA. And as Lamar has noted many times this season, you'll see the number and the email on the bottom of your screen. If you live in South Florida, it's a good one to store away, because if you ever have a problem, and nobody ever wants to have problems, but so many people do have problems of different types, she's a great lady to call. She has gotten so many people that Lamar knows, that I know, out of jams and things like that. And you see the number there now on the bottom of the screen, 561-512-6199, 561-512-6199. Christine Rosendahl, ESQPA at hotmail.com. And just wanted to file away somewhere in the notes on your phone. If you call her up and you tell her Lamar sent you, she will take extra good care of you. Before we get Sapp on the show, Lamar, let's talk offensive line for a second. They were pretty good against Texas A&M. I mean, they were physical. They were well prepared. They were executing. They had, I think, 180 yards rushing in that game. Now,
they were healthy.
They
were healthy to a
They
certain
were healthy too, yes. Now, since that night, that team hasn't done so great. They're sitting there with 4 losses. Jimbo's under all kinds of heat.
And a couple of suspended players too.
Yeah, they're suspending guys. I mean, it's ugly in College Station. But here's my question. What do you think, Lamar, happened to the offensive line that the level of their play went down so much? And can they get it back? I mean, I personally believe, like we were talking about earlier, they need to run the ball this week at Virginia. Virginia's going to have a plan for Colby Young. Virginia's going to have a plan for Jake Garcia, the very likely starting quarterback. And I think they're going to need to run the ball this week, and they're going to need to get performance out of the offensive line.
Well, I tell you this, I think that when you have injuries play a huge part in it. And now you're shifting guys around, guys that you thought you were going to count on. Now you got to play them at different positions. That's hard for an offensive line, because you're asked for cohesiveness as a group, and you're not knowing what the guy next to you is doing, and you're making all kind of, it was always great to watch guys that have played together for a couple of, years, in college, maybe started together, because they kind of knew what the other guy was doing, or kind of knew what that guy's strengths and weakness were, and they knew. They just helped each other. This has been like a kind of revolving door in a sense, because they've had to put people in because of injuries, and now you're playing guys, and those other guys on the other side with other jerseys on, they could care less. If you don't know that, if you're supposed to turn one way turn the line one way to block, and one guy doesn't do it because he didn't get the call. So they could care less, and they're licking their chops. I mean, it's been pretty bad at times because, again, it is like Richard said, it's a mass unit. It's you're just adding guys in there, and you're just hoping that they can get through the game. And the quarterbacks are the ones who are paying for it dearly because they're the ones that are getting hit in the mouth and now are becoming gun shy. And when you become gun shy as a quarterback, you get bad habits because you're not wanting to take those licks, and now you're throwing the ball faster than you have to. You're throwing to imaginary people. They wear the other jerseys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sad that Mallory's not a blocker because that would help. But he's not. He's not a blocker.
You don't want to hold him, keep him from running his routes anyway. I mean, it's,
Stop going with an unbalanced line and put that guy Cooper in it. He's a massive dude.
Yeah.
You'll start seeing more Cooper. I think.
He's got to get in it. He's massive.
They have high hopes for him. And,
I know they do.
They I think they just don't totally feel comfortable yet, giving him full-time responsibilities.
On short yardage, say us in there, Gary. On short yardage, put him in there. Go with the unbalanced line and say, here I come. I'm 6'5", 360 pounds, and run behind him. You try something because they can't run up the gut. There's no way they're running up the middle with these three offensive linemen in the middle. There's no way. Yeah. We get some up.
Lamar, what is your opinion on analytics? Analytics has been a hot topic here in South Florida this week between the Dolphin game, where the head coach almost blew the game by not kicking a field goal that he should have kicked and going for it on fourth down. And going for it on fourth down has burned Mario Cristobal several times now this season, including in the Carolina and Duke losses. And the games were close in those moments. And, I know Mario believes in the analytics. He follows them. He believes in being aggressive, going for it on fourth down. My concern for Mario as it pertains to this season is he is coaching too aggressively for the level of football team he has. And the way the football team responds to anything bad happening in a game. I mean, the defense has not stopped anybody that I can remember this entire season when they've had a short field. Whenever the other team gets the ball at midfield or obviously in the Miami end, they're scoring touchdowns almost every single time, Lamar. Obviously when you have 4th and goal from the 1 or 2 yard line and you go for it and you run the football and you don't get it, that's like a turnover also. And in the last game, they already had 8 of them. So these fourth downs are getting the Canes and as an extension, Mario, in a little bit of a mess. And it's all predicated by these analytics that the coaches follow that tells them
confidence in these guys. Listen, we can do it. We can do it, damn it. I have your back. We can do it. That's what I think he's trying to do.
That is what he's trying to do.
And it's blowing up in his face.
But it's also the stats that they get from these analytics that say on fourth down, you have a 65% probability to get it or a 70% in this situation. And coaches are going for it on fourth down. They're going for it on fourth down at a much higher rate than I've ever seen.
Yes, I agree.
Well, I think we addressed this earlier a couple of weeks ago. We talked about it, and I said I'm more of a field guy, common sense field guy. I don't
play field position.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying I'm feel like
feel of the game.
like feel of the game, common sense. I'm not. Some guy. I was at Kentucky, and they were bringing analytics in at that point, and I used to always say, I don't think that's good. And Eddie Grant kind of pulled me aside and said, hey, I don't need to hear you not agree with my calls. Said, well, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Be okay with you going for it on 4th and 8? I mean, you ain't going to get it. So,
go on 4th and 9, and they made it.
Yeah, well, but you got to have the horses. You got to have the dogs. You got to have those people that can do it. That's the difference.
You got to have the people.
If you don't have the people that can do it, don't do it.
That can make the play on offense, and if you don't make the play on offense, can make the plays on defense to save you.
You're putting your defense in a bad bind because they're like, God damn, again. When you pass those guys coming in off the field for those bad teams, it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of talking. When you're having a bad season, there's a lot of talking. And when you're having a good season, not as much talking, it's more uplifting. But when you're having a bad season, it's a lot of talking. What the hell, man? Why would y'all go for that? And they're so busy mad about being on the field, they blow their own stuff. And it's a snowball effect.
I don't know. I don't like the play calling inside the 20 anyhow for us. I don't care what plays they're calling. They just don't look like they're working. They don't even look like they practice these inside the red zone. And then inside the 5 the last couple of times, oh, my God. We can't even move the ball. We had a fumbled snap. We had DVD running the ball. Rooster shouldn't be touching the ball. He's too slight. But, and there's no blocking.
One of your best players.
Those short yardage, I put Cooper in there, and I let Franklin run it, or Parrish now. Because he has spin moves. He could move a little bit. For a little guy, Rooster doesn't have many moves, in the open. But he's too small.
Parrish, he looks good.
Yeah, he did.
He looks good in the open field. He looks explosive through there. But I would go with your bigger back once we got down there to give yourself a chance. That's just me. But I mean, I'm not the coordinator. This is I'm just watching as a fan, and I'm trying to figure it out too, because it's not good. It's not good.
Would you put Young on the left side, let him run a slant, and everybody else on the right side? With his body type, where's the corner? He's either going to be pass interference or he's going to catch it. That's what I would do.
Well,
what now?
You start doing that, they're going to say, okay, well, if that's what you're doing, we're going to just make everybody go on this side, and we're going to cover. We're going to make you throw it to somebody else.
Okay.
Bruce has always wanted to be a play caller, man.
Yeah.
He's a closet OC.
Bruce, you sound like in the huddle. This is your play call. Everybody over to the left, Rooster over to the or Kobe to the right. Run a slant. Everybody else, stick your finger in your ear and
out of the way.
Suck a lollipop.
It worked in Newark.
Lamar.
I like that play better than those little floaters to the corner where the margin for error is so great.
The last time I heard a play call like that was Bernie Kosar coming in the game against Indianapolis when Dan Marino got hurt, and he said, "Arande, I want you to run." First of all, he said, "Hey, anybody notice the lady in the third row with the big, you know what?" And everybody's like, "Oh my God, this guy's off the chain." And then he goes, "Hey, here's what I want, Arande, I want you to run this. OJ, run this. Charles, run this. Lamar, just stand over there and put your finger in your mouth. I'm not throwing it to you."
And did it work?
Yeah, it worked. I just stood over there and looked.
LT, let me ask you this,
yes.
and it may not be the greatest question for you because you were always on teams that responded to everything.
Yeah.
At least in college, might have to backtrack and go back through all your Buccaneers years and Dolphin years and stuff to accurately discuss this on the pro level. But the Hurricanes have not been a very good response team this year. When things go wrong, they're not responding. When the offense screws up, the defense isn't picking it up. They seem to go on in a shell sometimes. And when things start going wrong, they just seem to snowball on this team. What's going on psychologically, Lamar? You've been a coach, you've been a player. What is going on? I mean, it's beyond the point of being happenstance at this point. This is a pattern with this team. Is that mental softness? Is that too easy of a term that people use? They say this team is mentally soft. They're soft. I've heard all the words used, pussies, everything. Okay.
Yeah.
This team has been called everything this year based on, and they probably earned a lot of it. But when you are not responding the way this team's not responding, what is behind that?
Yeah, Gary, I've never been on a team like this. I mean, in the pros, with the Buccaneers in the beginning, when we weren't that good, we were the Yuccaneers. But it was this guys that were very selfish, and it was guys just playing for the money, and it just didn't care. It was about the money. Now, fast forward to this year, I mean, these guys are getting paid. I mean, I've heard some horror stories about teams where guys are more interested in going down and getting these $40,000 gold chains. I'm not saying the University of Miami because it's not, but they're getting $40,000 chains and they only got to pay such and such dollars because they can afford it. And, everybody's getting paid. They're getting these handouts, and it's just people are more concerned with that, and they're losing games. I'm not saying that this is happening at the University of Miami, but I've always wondered, and it was going back to last year when we were talking about this whole NIL thing. Will it destroy your team? Will it destroy your culture? Because I always thought that these guys, I know when I was back that age, would I have been mature enough to handle that type of money?
You wouldn't have.
Well, when you get on the next level, which is the professional ranks, you get in there and you see where you're already slotted. Your money's already slotted. You have to go earn more money. Okay. This is different. You're not slotted. This is, you've been there 2-3 years, you've started, and then all of a sudden there's some guy that has not been on your team is getting more than you. So can it be jealousy? Can it be, can it be coach, there's a coach, hey, I need you to show up at 6:30 in the morning to come run because you missed study hall. Coach, I can't. My Tesla's not charged yet. I know. I mean, these are questions. These are things that this is bad, man. This is I'm just trying to understand what's going on here, and these guys are making money. So do they care? Do they really care? Is anyone really upset after the game? Are you really in tears? Are you really in tears enough that you want to say, screw this, next week I'm working the hardest I've ever ever worked in my life? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know because I'm not there, and I'm not coaching college ball now, and it's a different world now. It's a different world. I can only imagine what these college coaches are going through because, here's the deal. You're recruiting a guy. Well, better yet, I don't even know if these guys recruit him because all of a sudden they hear on the internet that the guy got $100,000. And so they got to take him. What is this? I don't even know if these guys even know half the time these guys are coming in. Like, okay, well, we just signed such and such for $300,000. Well,
you stole my thunder a little bit here because that was going to be my next question to you. Somebody gave me a call this week and they said, who are the two most underachieving, disappointing teams in college football this year? Mm-hmm. And the answer, after some thought, was Miami and Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. And then he said, what are the two schools that had the most money distributed and had the best organized NIL programs this year? Miami and Texas A&M.
Well, where was USC? Did they spend money?
They did, but not at Miami and Texas A&M's level. Miami and Texas A&M had the two best NIL programs, huh?
They got two really good players, Williams and Addison, though, which is a big deal for
them. But I'm talking about across the board. Almost every kid on the Miami football team, I bet you, has $40,000 to $50,000 of NIL money.
Well, I tell you this. We talk about this among ourselves as players. You know where we really bonded? I tell you where we really bonded. During the summers, where we didn't have a fucking pot to piss in, where we were starving, and we had to go to summer school because it was voluntary mandatory. Okay. And so we didn't have money. And so we figured out ways as teammates to help each other. So we bonded. They ain't got to do that. They don't have to bond. If you already got money coming in, just think what these guys are doing during the offseason. They don't give a damn. You got money. I wish the NCAA, I'm sorry about fans getting off on this tangent about this, but I wish the NCAA, and maybe this is too much for them to do, how about change it and say, okay, all those guys that got their money, boom, you're good. But from now on, here's what's going to happen. You can get your NLI, but you can't get it until you graduate. It'll gain interest. The people have to pay it. They put it in there. And when you graduate, you get your money. So you can go early, go to pros. And when you come back and finish, you get your money. If you leave like those kids did, like the Rambos and all these guys, and they don't make it, you get your money. But when you come back and finish and graduate, if you're gonna pay a kid $100,000, say, okay, you get your $100,000 when you graduate. I guarantee it'll stop all that transfer and shit. I guarantee you, there won't be so much to transfer if your money's sitting there and it goes back to the people if you transfer. Simple. It's a simple way, but I don't know. That might be too easy for the NCAA.
You know what? It's such an interesting topic. I mean, it really is. I mean, we're not going to have all the answers here, but it's interesting. And when this guy who called me said that, it got me thinking, like, wow, maybe there is a connection there. Maybe at night, now that they have a few dollars in their pockets, when they could be studying their playbooks and going over their game plans and making sure they know what they're doing on game day, they're doing other things because they have the money in their pockets to do it.
And they have to fulfill their obligations to the people that are paying.
And they have to fulfill obligations to the people that are doing the deals with them.
Think that TVD alienated himself from the team? Is there any? I think there's got to be some truth to that. I know you think he's a great kid, but
I know what you're saying. I wouldn't want to just throw that out there. That's crazy. I mean, Lamar, do you think there's inherent jealousies? I mean, TVD got more money than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but do you think jealousies start creeping in within a team? Yeah.
Hey, all I can say is the basketball guy that took us to the whatever we went to last year, Elite Eight. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you sign another guy and you're giving him more money, and the guy says
he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Deuces, I'm out. They're college kids, man. Yeah. You put in that time, you put in that work, and then all of a sudden another guy comes on and he's making this and he ain't worth the crap, or maybe you watching him in practice, he ain't doing nothing because he has that money. Your college kids are not adults. When you go to the NFL, and that's one of the things, when you go to the NFL, I mean, it's already there. You have no choice but to deal with it. And if you want more money, you go make it. You try to survive. Mm-hmm. This right here is, I'm reading what one of the guys said. He said, "Oh, it's illegal, whatever." I'm just throwing out there what I would do if I could make the rules. I mean, probably it is illegal. And it's what he said, blackmail. I don't know. I mean, how's it blackmail when you come to school to get your degree?
Yeah, let me tell you something. It might be illegal to do NIL deals before somebody enrolls in school, but these kids are doing their homework and they know what their NIL potential is at the school that they're committing to. Trust me. And they may have to figure out a way to do it to where it's by the book, but they know. But I don't know that we can't say definitively that any jealousies about TVD are affecting the way the team's playing this year. We don't know that. Yeah,
I'm just talking as far as what I've heard from other programs about guys getting money, and it's everything is great when you're winning. Everything is great, but when you're losing, you really see the true colors of people. And right now, the true colors is green for a lot of people. Not orange and green, it's green.
Yeah, how about the true color people, the posters on Kane Sport? Wow, this week was unbelievable.
And a little hostile. Yeah, it's been a little hostile.
Yes, it has.
Let's take a look at this one, okay? Norris Money all decked out in his tuxedo over there, man. Look at Norris. You just go, man, with that. He's got the bow tie working and whatever. How old do you think Norris is? If you look at that picture, Lamar, what do you think? Maybe like 50, maybe?
No, black don't crack, man. He ain't that old. He about 30 something. Black don't crack, dog.
First of all, he added 30 years to Kevin Steele's age. Okay, Kevin Steele's 64. He's not 94.
Well,
okay?
It is what it is. I ain't gonna make no statement like Kanye West. I'm just gonna leave it alone. So you're gonna take my sponsorship.
But I'm sitting here looking at the gray beard in front of me on Lamar Thomas.
Yeah.
Every week it seems like there's a little more gray coming in there. But and you just got named the assistant head coach of the XFL Orlando franchise, and so your career is blossoming as you're getting older. But this is a serious question. Kevin Steele is 64. He's a veteran. Mm-hmm. He's a veteran coach in college football. We've seen head coaches, Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno, get basically run off as they get older. Does age matter for a football coach? I mean, Kevin Steele, I don't blame Kevin Steele for the problems they've had on defense this year, because it's not like the kids weren't in the right positions on most of those plays. They're just busting or getting beat. Now, I think there was a problem with the guy that did the scouting report from Middle Tennessee State that didn't know that they had a receiver that runs 10-2 out there on the outside that was going to run right by DJ Ivey. I think there's a problem there.
Hey, and by the way, that guy, I didn't see him in the next game he played. I didn't see him in the next game. He must have pulled a hamstring running all them damn touchdowns against Miami. But go ahead.
but Gary,
does age matter?
But four times in one game, don't you make an adjustment after the second time? Why are you staying in the same damn defense? That's Kevin Steele. It wasn't the kids. They can't.
I don't think it was the exact same defense. It was different guys.
I tell you this. I can tell you this. I've had conversations with Coach Steele, and he's a wonderful man. He's a older soul. When you're coaching these young men, it actually it can make you feel bigger. It makes you feel younger, because you're listening to them talk and the stuff that's going on in their lives, and you listen. You even listen to their music. There's a lot of things that you do that you wouldn't do if you weren't coaching. So, I mean, for a guy like that who's been around, I mean, he's aged, but I think being around those kids has helped him continue to be younger. I've talked to him. He has a great conversation. He ain't seen out at all. No. At the end, Joe Pa, I went up to Penn State and was around Joe Pa, and he was just as sharp. He remembered me beating Derek Bonner down the sideline. I mean, if you're that old, it's hard, if you ain't around this to bring yourself to the youngness of these kids. I mean, you will forget. But I mean, I can't really blame him. I just wish that they would make those adjustments, and maybe he doesn't have the personnel. Maybe he doesn't feel good about the guys that he has on that field, because I know with that coaching staff, I mean, on paper, that coaching staff has a lot of years of experience. I mean, let's take this for example. You got a Hall of Fame guy like Jason Taylor out there coaching defensive ends or helping out with defensive ends. I still see these guys lose contain. I'm sure he's coached that. I'm sure he's said over and over again. Sometimes you can tell them, but they
how does that happen? I mean, we're watching linebackers still tackling without wrapping up. Like they drill it every day in practice. Lamar, you're a coach out there. How does this happen?
Once they cross that line, you put your paycheck in their hands. It's all you can do is just watch. You become just like the people in the stands. You're a fan. The only good thing you get is instant satisfaction when they get to the sideline because you can get in that ass. How about that? But people understand they got to keep yelling, but I can say something. But once they leave that sideline and you give them that play or you tell them exactly what to do, sometimes they don't do it. Sometimes, and you're just shaking your head like, dog, didn't I tell you?
Oh, man. Because they
these are 5-star players that we see doing this.
Yeah, 5-star, 1-star, 0 stars. I mean, once they cross that line, you're at their mercy. I mean, you don't know what's going on in these kids' head. They can get out there and be thinking about something happened at the dorm, and I mean, it's all kind of things. You're pretty much at their mercy. The only thing you can do, you continue to go over it, continue to prepare them, continue. And once game day gets there, give them one more, and then you let it go, and you just hope that they're prepared. Because if not, it depends on what head coach you with. That Sunday morning is awful. It is an awful experience. You will lose weight. You don't want to eat. You become miserable at home. There's a lot of things that go on when you get yelled at for 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old young man that just won't do freaking right.
Mm-hmm. But to answer Lenoris's question, I mean, I don't think the fact that Kevin Steele's 64 has anything to do with anything that we've seen on defense. This is a great human being. He doesn't have to be here. He could be getting paid a lot of money. He's owed a lot of money from other schools. He didn't have to come here and do this. He loves coaching and he loves being around the kids. And I don't think his age has had anything to do with anything going on defense this year. I really don't. And yeah.
There was 6 of those bombs, 4 and then 2. And I still say he does not have the personnel. They don't have the speed. He needs to come up with something. And so if it has to be 18 play drives, so be it. But to give up those bombs like that, he's got to make it.
But Bruce, the last 2,
they're not tackling. They're not in the right spot. They're over either in the wrong area or they horrible angles. The
last 2 were bucks on cover 2. I mean, it's been a little bit of everything. I mean, but I don't think his age. My point is, I don't think his age
has nothing to do with it.
Has anything to do with it. All right, let's shift to this subject from Cran Writer, our man out on the West Coast. That one of our more loyal listeners on all of our shows, really. He says that with a week of practice, Lamar, that Jake Garcia is going to be a lot better. It should be a lot better.
Okay.
Than he was against Duke last week. How much of a difference does that week of preparation make?
When you get the majority of the reps, it does. And they're supposed to cater the game plan to you. Mm-hmm. Think about that. This game plan that they had in obviously was catered towards. It goes like what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Now all of a sudden TBD and Gaddis and Ponce are sitting down. They're going over plays he likes. I guarantee they weren't going over plays that Jake Garcia likes. You understand what I'm saying? They weren't saying, okay, these are the plays we're going to run for Jake, because they weren't thinking Jake was going to be in there. Okay. So now Jake has a chance to sit down with Gaddis and Frank Ponce, and they cater the game plan to his strength. It's a different game plan because we've seen that those two guys are different. I think Jake's a better athlete than TBD. I don't know. TBD just don't. So this year he doesn't look like it. Last year he looked like a great athlete. This year I don't know. I can't.
You get out of the pocket and run and knock people over.
Yeah.
And now he can't do that. Only if forced.
Hey, you know what it is? When you're poor, you eat Roman noodles, and now you're eating steak and lobster because you got that money.
That's what I said.
Let's see. Yeah, I say this week should be different. I mean, we'll see a different game plan. I think it'll be catered to Jake, and you're right. I mean, he had to run. He was a fill-in, so we'll see how it goes.
CW wants to know how you got into coaching, Lamar.
Let's see. Well, After the FIU game, I decided that I wanted to be closer to the game. I wanted to be down there. I wanted to be a part of it. I loved being up in the booth, but I didn't go to school for it. And obviously, my passion for the University of Miami was why I was hired, and my passion for the University of Miami was why I was fired too. So I said to myself, you know what? There's something that needs to be done, and how do you do it? So I came up with a game plan, myself and T-Buck, and we both went back and finished school. And I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to work at the University of Miami, and Randy Shannon was the head coach. And I asked him about it, and he said, Lamar, I can bring you in as a GA or something like that, but I'm going to tell you this. This is the best advice that he gave me, and I appreciate this. He said, but they will never look at you as anything else but the player here until you go off and you earn it. And when you put your resume up, you're the best man for the gig. So I took that to heart. I thought it was the greatest advice you could give a person because, when you played there and, you've never coached and, people still look at you as that player. Well, when you go off and you coach first rounders and you beat the University of Miami and all these things like that, and you recruit against them and you win recruits, you become now a guy that has earned his keep, as we say. So I got into coaching because I wanted to get closer to the game, and it's amazing how God has a plan for you. You just don't know it. You're all upset. I was upset about the whole FIU thing because, there was so much that went into it that people don't understand, but it's okay. I'm a grown man. I had to take my punishment as some people thought. But when they pay you for the whole year, I don't know how much punishment that is. So, but I decided to go on a different avenue, and I had to go back and I finished what I should have finished a long time ago, and it worked out perfectly, and I was happy about it. And I thank a lot of the people, Donna Shalala for the opportunity, Randy Shannon, Dr. Price, all those people who my grandmother, who said, hey, you need to do this, get this done. And I was able to get that degree, and I'm in a much better place now. So that's how I got into coaching.
Right. The Lamar Thomas show.
Right. James Welford wants to know if you really know Warren Sapp, who hasn't made it into the studio yet tonight. What's up with Warren? What's the update?
Yeah, well, he's at dinner, so it is what it is. That's what happens when you're first ballot Hall of Famer and one of the most decorated canes in the history of the university. So.
Yeah, we promoted it too. I told you, Bruce. Anytime you promote something, it never works out.
I know.
We do have Malik Rosier coming on though in a few minutes. All right, so Burley Kane says the players need the fans to push them, not the coaches. How much did you have to push your players when you played? And I'm thinking of a guy. I remember when Devontae Parker came out of Louisville. And you and I talked when you were over there, and you told me that Devontae Parker was one of the best receivers that you'd ever seen. And you thought that Devontae Parker was going to be unbelievable as a pro. And he's had a so-so NFL career. It has not worked out that way. I mean, to me, he looks to me like a guy that needs to be pushed. He made a lot of money coming out of the gate, and it just looked to me like he had to be pushed. How much do players have to be pushed?
Well, for Devontae, his problem, that foot. I think that foot, he never really truly healed from it as far as, when he got to the Dolphins. Because I talked to the Dolphins and I said, hey, the only way this guy fails is that you have some sorry-ass quarterbacks, But I didn't know that foot wasn't completely healthy. And so he fought injuries. He continuously fought injuries, one injury after another. And it happened after the foot. The foot was and I never forget this. He had 8 touchdowns in the scrimmage. 8 touchdowns in the scrimmage 2 weeks before a University of Miami game. And I was like, oh my God, he is going to kill Miami. And I'm thinking, I got to get him out the game. But I was afraid to tell Coach Petrino because I didn't want to get yelled at. And he turned to me and said, hey, Lamar, should we get him out the game? And I said, yes, sir, we should get him out of the game. I said, hey, Dela Cruz, you in? And he said, all right. That same play, he breaks his foot.
Wow.
And it just never was the same. It's just.
But do players need to be pushed?
Yeah, well, you have to be able to. You have to be able to, in a way, you have to be able to. I think it's about confidence. You got to give these guys confidence, and confidence comes from seeing success on the practice field, seeing success in the weight room, seeing success once you walk out of the locker room, seeing success. And you know, I always just try to preach success because they need confidence. A lot of times, guys fail because they're not confident. Or someone is getting in that butt the whole time. And these kids, again, it goes back to not being mature enough. If you don't put your arm around them, they think it's personal. And they're not mentally strong enough to say, you know what, screw you, buddy. I don't give a damn if you like me or not. I'm gonna still ball out. These kids are like, screw him, he don't like me, I ain't doing shit. Well, they don't even understand it hurts them. They're just not mature enough. Or if the culture's not strong enough, that's what happens. For us at the University of Miami, back in the day, the culture was strong enough that we didn't give a damn who was coaching us. These guys that coaches, to this day, Coach Burkowski, Rich Olson, they were decent coaches, but I don't know what I learned from them playing receiver. I learned more from the off season, the watching Michael Irvin, the watching films, the listening to these working with these other guys, going one-on-one, going against Ryan McNeil, all these tough corners, Kenny Berry, every day. There's not too much they could tell us. So the pushing wasn't from them. Jimmy Johnson, it was about fear because he didn't play. Right. The fear of you losing your damn spot, the fear of you or him sending your ass home, that was the fear. Dennis, no fear. It was just, hey, let's get focused. Let's stay focused on what we need to do. And, you know, it's not much they can teach us. They can tell us what we have to do during practice, and that's about it. But half those guys didn't even play. They didn't know. They knew their positions, but that was it.
That's why the stars don't always matter. You have to have people. Now, your team had guys who had inner drive and absolutely refused to fail, and they were hard on themselves. And you guys were hard on the others, which is not happening now. You guys, I don't care if you had 1 stars or 5 stars. It doesn't matter because you guys all had it's us against the world. Whatever the mentality was, you refused to lose. These guys are getting used to losing. And some of these guys, you have to light a fire under their ass. And sometimes they make a mistake, and you have to say, you know what, don't worry about it. I know it's eating you alive, but you'll go out there next time and do something. You have to be a master psychologist. Bill Parcells was like that. You know, he was like that.
Well, you talk about confidence, Lamar. I got a guy in the green room right now. When he led the Canes to a 10-0 start in 2017, I've never seen anybody with more confidence than this guy had in that moment. And success breeds that confidence. And that, of course, is Malik Rosier, who joins us now. And Malik, welcome to the Lamar Thomas Show, the greatest receiver in the history of Miami football.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Loving being here. Lamar, obviously, I follow you on social media, so I see a lot of stuff that you're doing. Definitely appreciate the XFL Orlando. So I'll be up there to come watch y'all play for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's get right into it. Why Miami? Why? You mean you? If I'm not mistaken, let me make sure I got that. And I want to ask you this: are you from Mobile, Alabama?
Yes, sir.
Alabama? Alabama?
Yeah, loved it. But I live in Florida now, so I love it here. But, you know, I was born in Tallahassee, split family. So me and my dad were Miami fans, and my sisters and my stepmom were FSU fans. So every Miami-Florida State rivalry, we were going at it. And one reason that really helped me pick Miami was, one, obviously, you know, I used to hear my dad talk about all the Michael Irvins, you know, Ray Lewis, and because that's who he watched, you know what I mean? So I felt his passion for Miami when I was younger, and it was one way that me and my dad really, you know, connected was Miami football. So obviously when I got the chance to play not only quarterback, but also I got to play baseball at Miami, it was a no-brainer where I wanted to go, the people I wanted to be around, and the program that I wanted to help become successful.
Wow. Now, okay. That when I saw and I looked up and I saw you were from Alabama, Mobile, Alabama. I'm like, wait. Now this is after, and I know I'm pretty famous over there because I've seen some billboards and pictures of me getting stripped from behind. So, this is not a place. It's not a place I frequent a lot. You know what I mean? So when I saw that, I'm like, man, the fact that and I never knew that.
Well,
I never knew that.
Nick was young, man. He may not remember that play.
Yeah, you don't remember that crap.
You remember his play from the Sugar Bowl?
No, I don't. So what's crazy? What actually solidified me being a Miami fan. My first Miami game ever was Miami versus FSU when Ja'Cory Harris was a quarterback and he threw that touchdown to Travis Benjamin. I was literally in that corner with my dad. I remember us hugging each other. I was like, yeah, I'm done. It's a Miami fan for the rest of my life. So well, that's actually the game that helped me become a Miami fan.
So you went to high school in Alabama?
Yes, sir. So I went to a 5A they were called Faith Academy. So our division of football in Alabama was called the SEC. So we played Spanish Fort, St. Paul's, Bayer, LaFleur. Every year they had 4- and 5-star guys going to the SEC.
I don't mean to cut you off. I went to Spanish Fort one time to recruit somebody, and the coach he wouldn't let me talk to a couple of the players. He said this guy's going to this Auburn, this guy's going to Alabama, this guy's going, and you can talk to any of the rest of them, but you can't talk to these guys.
Yeah.
I said, I came in to talk to these guys and go, sorry, coach.
I mean, that's really how it is, especially in that division. There's so many coaches that love Alabama and Auburn, and they do a good job of building those connections. They have those pipeline schools. So, yeah, a lot of the Spanish Fords, Vigors, those are big pipeline schools for all the SECs.
So when you get to Miami, coming from Alabama, was it whoa? It had to be whoa.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. One thing I can say, and growing up in Alabama, a lot of stuff that I saw in Miami, you would only see on TV. And being in Miami, seeing the big city, seeing the nice cars 24/7, going out to the clubs, it was definitely a whole new adjustment for me. Not only as a football player and how I focus, but as a person, because obviously there's so much good that the city of Miami offers, but there's so much trouble also. If you go down the route, if you're throwing people down the wrong street, it took me a while, to trust certain people to go in certain areas just because I know how certain areas in Miami was. So I looked up, hanging out with guys like Chad Thomas, Mark Walton, Demetrius Jackson, those guys really took care of me when I was in Carroll City areas like that. So I was just lucky enough to have friends that, lived in Miami, was able to show me basically every part of Miami. Now,
the fact being down here, that experience, I to go to the Grove, and I'm from a small town. Well, I'm from Gainesville, Gainesville. So the same thing. To go to the Grove and to go to South Beach, your jaw had to drop because you didn't see that in Mobile. I guarantee you.
Yeah, no, not at all. I one thing I'll give Miami is that I feel like every place you go, they obviously have beautiful women, but the density of beautiful women, you see girls that are white, Spanish, African American, Hispanic, it's all over the map.
Everything.
Yeah, no, and I love it. You know what I mean? The cultural differences, the cultural backgrounds. You sit at a restaurant, you hear people speaking Spanish, you hear someone else speaking Nigerian, you look to the left, someone else speaking Haitian. So that to me is what I love about Miami was, at least in Mobile. There's not a lot of mixed people. There is now, but when I was growing up, I was one of the only few mixed people, in my high school, but secondly, kind of in my area. But whenever I got to Miami, if I look normal, most people are speaking to me in Spanish because they think I'm Dominican. But I was like, oh yeah, I fit in here perfect. I didn't learn a little bit of Spanish, but yeah, it was really cool to people don't really care what you look like, who you are, as long as you don't bother them in Miami, we cool in. So I definitely like Miami.
Hey LT, thank God he was born in 1995.
Yeah.
So he didn't get to see those billboards in Alabama.
Your name might have been George T. Shit, we don't know. He was that famous. I made him famous.
In the 1993 Sugar Bowl, Malik, 2 years before you were born, LT was on the cusp of making one of a spectacular play. We were getting killed by Alabama. And Lamar was making the play that was going to turn the tide.
I don't know if it would turn the tide. Now we still getting our ass beat.
We still have a long way to go. But
it helped me get my NIL deal back then.
But you know how we saw K. Smith carrying the ball in the wrong hand against Duke.
Mm-hmm.
LT got so excited at what was with the play he was making that he forgot to switch the ball to his left hand. And George Teague of Alabama, this is a national title game, but now as George Teague of Alabama comes running from across the field and knocks the ball. Steals the ball out of Lamar's hands. And it's one of the most famous plays in college football history because it was a national title game. They called it what? The steal?
The strip.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely look that up. I'll watch that.
To this day, Malik, Lamar and Teague do endorsement appearances together.
You probably was super famous in Alabama then.
Yeah, he's very famous, and the fact we switched spots. I was supposed to go in the first round, and he was a nobody, and then all of a sudden he went in the first round. I went the first pick of the third round. So it's amazing how life changes in the blink of an eye. But you know what? I say this all the time. Just like you being remembered for being 10-0, at least I'm gonna be remembered for something.
He stole the football and your money. That's what he did.
He sure did. I had that story, Malik, where we went and played golf one time, and I introduced him to my parents. I said, "Hey, Mom, meet George. This is the reason why you didn't get that big house."
What did she say? How did she respond to that?
LT's still big in Alabama.
They had it. My mom and them had their own money. They said, they thought it was funny. So, but yeah, man, that's how life is, man. You just want somebody to remember you for something. You want to make your mark, and I think you did at the University of Miami. I mean, I think that was down to one of the last times we were pretty good. Besides the was that the last time we were any good?
Pretty much.
I mean,
was that the year of the Notre Dame game?
The next year, the next year, I'll say it. Malik won't say it. The next year, they spent all year jerking him around. I mean, he led them to 10-0 in 2017, and now all of a sudden he's being yanked in and out of the games and lineup in 2018, and that backfired a little bit on Mark.
Yeah.
It did. One thing I can say too, though, is that I don't know if you guys remember, but the UNC game, I went out and Evan Shares came in for like a quarter.
Yeah, I remember.
I really messed my shoulder up. So that was one thing, me and the Rick sat down too, is if you watch the velocity from the ball at the beginning of the year and then really after in the offseason, I did lose a lot of velocity on some of my balls. So that's why there were some routes that I in the past could make, and sometimes the ball was not getting there, getting short. So some of that was on my shoulder and rehab too, though. So I can't admit to that.
So what are you doing now, Malik?
So right now I'm doing a couple of different things. So I'm trying to work with University of Miami for business networking. And that's a work in progress. I feel that student athletes not only deserve the right to, meet people, because obviously the University of Miami signed with Altius, who does a great job with education. But, I've met people in the city of Miami. I'll give you one is Phantom, who is Bad Bunny's producer. He's someone that said he would love to, connect with the student athletes, sit down, talk to them, saying, hey, this is what I do. If you guys want to get into the music world as a producer, these are the steps that you guys should take, because this is what I did. So really giving them real insight. I also train quarterbacks. So I train Tyler. I've been training Jakari. When Emory Williams comes down, he's actually been in QB country for a while. So I'll train Emory as well at Miami. And then the last thing is in Orlando, I have a kids development company where we go out and we go to daycares, and we teach kids basically from 1 to 12 to 13 years old, basic skills. So motor skills, hey, this is a soccer ball, so you kick it. This is a basketball, so we dribble it. This is a volleyball, so you can serve it up and spike it. So different things like that, teaching them the basics of sports.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's a lot, man. You're pretty busy. I mean, let me ask you this: can you say any of that? And I've always wondered this, because we talk about the U family and all this other stuff. Has any of this come from the connections that you made at the University of Miami or not? I'm curious. Okay, because
all of it has. Yeah.
I hear stories sometimes from people who are bitter, that say, we talk about the U family and nobody has done this and nobody's done that. But I'm like, it is what you make the best of it, especially if you build those connections and you're around those people. You have to go. It's not going to come to you. You got to go. You got to go kind of search it out a little bit.
Search it out, yeah. No, agreed. And I can say I looked up. So it actually fell on my lap. So my little sister had a rare kidney disease. Tate Martell knows my business partner Mike Murphy. I posted something on Instagram. Tate then told Mike. Mike is a huge Miami fan. I actually played baseball down there 1 year in Miami. So he's somebody that's actually spoken to the student athletes. So we did like a business education course with like 16 of the student athletes, like Jay Garcia, DJ Ivy, DJ Scape, guys like that, to teach them a little bit of business. But I mean, he's someone, that we really want to help kids once they graduate, figure out, hey, like, if you want to own and operate your own small business, there are people out here that are Miami alumni that'll love to help you. So like one guy we're helping out with right now is like Cam Harris. We've helped Demetrius Jackson, some of his nonprofit ventures. So we really do plan on helping these kids, transition from the sports world, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, whether you say, hey, I just want to work a 9 to 5, find a good paying job. Like we really want to help kids, facilitate that.
That's a hell of an ambition, man. You should be proud of yourself. That is really, you really, absolutely. So what you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on down there now. We've talked before you came on about things like these kids are just giving up. They don't have the heart. I grew up when Gary grew up from the 80s on, and we saw these guys, even before Lamar, just bust their ass in practice. And when they got into the games, it was easy because they were going against some of the greatest players ever. Now, I don't know if they're working that hard. I don't know what's going on in practice. Do you have your finger on the pulse of this year since you're around?
Yeah, I would say to me the biggest difference is one, a lot of coaching staffs and Lamar can speak to this. They're crippled with the amount of time and that they have really with the players. You know what I mean? They only have a certain amount of time. Most of the times during practice, you're only going to focus on what your starters have. And as we have seen this year, we have so many backup guys playing that you're starting to see, a lot of errors happen because of that. The biggest thing that I want to see a lot of these guys work on is, once the coaches leave, what are you doing for that 20, 30, 40 minutes that you have between practice and class? That's where you get better at because the coaches don't have enough time. And to me, that's where like players got to be accountable to themselves and say, hey, like, what did coach teach me? Okay, I have 15 minutes. I'm going to pick 3 things that he taught me, and I'm going to take 5 minutes on each. If you do that every day, you do that over a process of not only a year, but 2, 3, 4 years, by the time you look back, you're going to be so much of a better player because those 15 minutes slowly start adding up. There's something called like compound interest. I know it's like with money, but I think about the same way with like work ethic. As long as you stay loyal to one thing and you keep working on it, by the time you look back, all those 15, 20, 30 minutes add up in the long run. So that's why I tell a lot of my guys is, work during practice, but then, if you got 10 extra minutes, find something after practice you can do that, slowly helps you become a better player.
Is NIL impacting that? Like, these guys got money in their pockets now, and they can go do things, and players like Lamar was talking earlier, like they didn't have money, and all they had was ball.
Yeah, no. So I definitely think that it affects people that are weak-minded. I think that it allows kids to become satisfied, and low key, to me, it's almost a distraction from your end goal. At the end of the day, like these kids can make 6-7 figures, like, okay, I'm making money, I'm playing football, but just because you're making NIL money doesn't mean you'll ever get to your dream, which is NFL. So to me, it almost is like a blanket in their face. But I mean, there are a lot of kids that I know that, if they could have had an extra $10,000 even a year, how much of a difference it would make not only for them, but for their family. So to me, there is a huge benefit. And it is hard because a lot of these kids, I think about a couple of years ago, when Stetson Bennett was the quarterback for Georgia, when he was starting, his social media was gone. His Instagram was deleted. Everything was gone. Now some of these kids have deals where like they have to do posts during the season, so they can't turn off their social media. I mean, so they're getting every notification, every tag, everything's hitting their phone whether they want it to or not. You can say, oh, I'm turning off my notifications, but when you go to click, unless they have a whole management team that is doing their posts for them, those kids have to see it because they have to post, because they have to make the money. So that's where there can be a bit of a conflict, and it allows kids to slowly let whatever they're feeding, whether they're listening at Twitter or Instagram, that stuff can slowly seep into their brains.
Are you saying that these kids are not doing the extra things they should be doing?
No, so there are kids that are doing it. Yeah, the biggest thing is that whenever you're losing, it's very hard for someone to leave, because at that point, if someone is someone that, like, if let's say me and Lamar are teammates, right? Let's say I'm Kobe Young and I'm playing good. Let's say Lamar's whoever you want to say on the team. If I'm playing good but we're losing, obviously, like, I can go blame Lamar because he's doing bad, and I can say what I want to say because I'm doing good. Sometimes, like, if we don't have that connection, Lamar's gonna get offended. Now he doesn't like me, and now we have issues, and then his buddies might not like me, and now because his buddies don't like me, now my boys don't like him.
And you're getting more money than me.
You feel me? Like that's really what happened. So
Yeah.
like to me, it is that bond to where like, you know, like there were times I can't lie where Jaquan Johnson would come over and cuss me out. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I never was offended by that because I knew where his passion came from. It wasn't because I was doing bad. It was because the guy wanted to win. You know what I mean? Because I knew that every day I watched him practice. I watched him in the weight room. Like I saw the blood, sweat, and tears that he put. So he was like, I'm not ending it like this. Like, I don't care what we got to do, but we got to find another way. And that to me was that bond that it didn't matter if it was Jaquan, it didn't matter if it was Chad Thomas, it didn't matter if it was me. Like, it was from a place of like love and not of like hate. And to me, that's where whenever you have that connection with your teammates, they understand like who you are, why you do what you do, why you talk the way you talk, instead of being like, oh, like he cussed at me, he snapped me out, or you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, because you don't have that connection, so you don't understand.
There's a lot of truth to that, because when you're in that locker room and you're trying to build something, a culture, or the culture has already been established, you kind of just go along with it because you don't want to be a minority. You know, if it's already there, guys are doing extra studying. I mean, to be honest with you, during Florida State, Notre Dame, we didn't go to class. I mean, we didn't. I mean, you couldn't. I mean, you didn't, because it was like you saw those guys doing it, so you just jumped right in line. And if you did, they thought, hey, you ain't taking the game serious.
Yep.
That's just the culture of the locker room at that time. I mean, and so like you said, if those guys or see other guys doing it, or they, you know, you still got working hard, he can say whatever he wants to say. If a guy's giving 100% every freaking day, and he's doing everything he's supposed to do, you just have to listen.
Agree.
And you have to ask yourself.
To me, we need more guys like Kobe, like, you know, TBD, even though TBD's not playing. Like, if I'm Tyler, I'm sitting there saying, okay, like, who needs to get better work? Okay, if I can't play, how can I stay after practice and help them? Figure that out. You know what I mean? Whether you need to stand there and make sure, you know, whether it's a guy getting to his yard, hey, you got an 8-yard route, I'm going to stand 8 yards. Make sure every time you're on your route, you get to me. That little stuff right there, whether it's 5 to 10 minutes, will make a big difference. Even if it's not for Tyler, it'll make a big difference for Jake, which now the team's winning and now we're gaining momentum and now everyone's happy. So it's like, do your part, whether you're playing, whether you're not, whether if you're a walk-on guy, say, hey, like after practice receive, you know, I'll at least stand in front of you guys so you guys can work your hands. So like, you know, the receivers don't do it. So like small things like that really do go a long way.
Malik, what's your read on the pulse of the quarterback position right now? I mean, it's been such a crazy year for these guys. You know, all those turnovers against Duke. I mean, everything just went haywire. What's your read on just where things are on offense and where things are with the quarterbacks right now?
Yeah, I'm very interested. You know, I watched Jake Garcia a lot. So when I was on the staff at the University of Georgia, I dealt with quarterbacks. Obviously, Jake was his senior year was in Georgia playing high school there. So I watched all his games. The guy can compete. One thing is confidence, one in themselves. You know, I talked to Tyler and I was like, what was the biggest difference between, you know, the last previous weeks in UNC? It was like, one, spending time with the coaches, which I think really helped him. But second, it was like, man, I was just confident. You know what I mean? Like I stopped trying to make excuses. I just said, hey, like I can make every throw and I got to do it. So I think it's really that, like those guys are talented in the room. I think one, that the coaching staff and the players around him just got to be positive. Like if the guy has a mistake, if the guy throws a pick, like walk up to him and say, hey, man, you're good. Like, let's go make another play. Like, we got you. Like, one turnover is not going to kill us. So it's like, to me, it's that part. You know what I mean? People don't understand that when you're a quarterback, the decisions are literally split second. And if you're waiting, it's a pick, or maybe it's a batted ball, or maybe it's behind him. So to me, it's really just breeding confidence. And I think they should take shots. Jake's a good kid. He plays really good football. I don't want to see them play scared, because when you play scared, you put quarterbacks in bad situations, and then you're going to try to have a 19-year-old kid bail you out late. I'd rather see them go out, you know, throwing go balls, throwing posts, saying, hey, we put the game in the players' hands and y'all didn't execute, instead of us being like, oh, well, you didn't take enough shots. You didn't give our guys enough chances to go one-on-one. I'd rather – they really have nothing to lose. Like, maybe we can win the Colts, but at the end of the day, like, I would rather say, hey, what team do we have that we can win with so we can produce for next year? Obviously, like, I know the coaching staff probably isn't thinking about next year, but at least for me, as like someone that knows what this team can do in the future, it's about what do we have? How can we get them confidence? How can we get them to say, hey, I know I can make this play because I did it all last year. You know, I caught 15, 20 go balls. I caught 5, 10 posts. I caught, you know, double moves. It's building that confidence of, hey, if we're going to stretch the field vertically, let's build that confidence and how we're going to stretch it now. So when we get to next year, we're confident. They know the routes. They've done it for 2 years, and it just builds kind of that, you know, success.
Yeah, well, you better fix that offensive line, or else there's going to be more collisions in the backfield.
that too, but also some of that comes with condensed formations.
Because you know you might get creamed. Maybe that's what
you
happened.
But you got to spread it out. So, like, the biggest team, so 2017, Syracuse beat Clemson. They knocked out Trevor Lawrence, and then DJ came in and they beat him. When we watched them, I think they blitzed them like 50, 60% of the times, but Clemson was a big condensed formation team. So when we did that game, if you go back and watch, we went 5 wide. True spread. We started in condensed. I fake clapped. I said move. Guys were condensed. They went to 5 wide. And then you saw them spread out. So the two things that does, one, it clears up the coverage because now their leverage has to become more defined. Right. Secondly, if they're going to blitz, they either, one, have to show it super early, so because they're going to be so far. Secondly, if they do blitz, they're blitzing from 7 to 8 yards away from me. So now I can see, I can react, I can do different things. Even if I can't get my line to get there, the timing is so much off for them. When they're more condensed, you know, guys can kind of stack, they can disguise. So to me, you know, if you make it real simple for Jake, you spread it out. Maybe you call quick game. Maybe it's just 4 verts, and you say, hey, Rooster, you're going to run an option out the backfield. So you say, hey, you're going to work the right side to the back or left side to the back. You know, still stretch the field, but say, hey, Jake, you're going to work one side to a check down, but don't be scared to like throw vertical. Don't be scared to spread these guys out. You know, make it simple, but make your formations complex.
Hey, Malik,
guys,
I got
on the defensive guys can't be stacking that box if you're doing that. You're spreading it out.
Yeah, they can now. You know what I mean? If they're going to go cover 2, you're going to get a 5-1 box. If they're going cover 1, it's going to be a 4-2 box. Like, you can really tell, really simple.
You'll know. Hey, Malik, I got to ask you a question. You brought up something that's Clemson. You playing against Clemson. Mm-hmm. Did you feel like they were stealing your signals?
So 2015, they definitely had our signals.
I'm telling you, man, they were the best.
No, they did. So we had a GM that knew someone at Clemson, and they walked over at the game and pat him on the back and go, by the way, we had all your signals. At least on offense. So where we messed up was, you know, James Coley was the OC. He was signaling for Brad. So James did what we call like a split offense. So like he would go, we're going to go gun right. And then based on the strength, you would call one play to the right side receivers, another play to the left. Well, for us, it made it simpler if, you know, we looked over and Brad signaled, hey, this is one route, and hey, guys, you guys got that. You know what I mean? It made it simple, even though it was a route. Brad signaled, so they had someone, I guess, watch all our signals.
Oh, yeah.
And by the time they played us, they knew every signal.
They were the best.
They knew everything.
They were, and it's a hidden secret. No one really know. Go back and watch any of their games. Their defense is still looking at the sideline before you snap the ball. They're trying to.
No, they're waiting. No,
they're waiting.
We did it too. If I'm being honest, we did it one year. I mean, they were very simple, but it was Georgia Tech.
On defense, you have your
on defense. Yeah, we were on defense, and they kept calling that little triple option right.
Yeah.
They kept doing like this, and we were like, hey, every time they put their fist
up, triple option right. Yeah.
But I did the same thing though. Like it was so crazy. So like, especially with teams like Duke. So Duke ran a lot of coverages. When teams ran a lot of coverage, a lot of times the people that would signals were the safeties. So I would watch sometimes pre-snap, hey, if fist closed, it's cover 2 boundary. Sometimes they would go hand up, it's cover 1. So even me, like I'm on the field, and when I see guys signal, I low-key try to remember what they're signaling and what coverages were behind it.
And you can see it during film too.
Yeah, you can. A lot of times you can from the back.
During film. You know, one of the things we did was we would rush you to the line, and you give your signal, and then we knew what coverage you were in. We called a beater for that. Let's say we knew you were in cover 2. We called a cover 2 beater. We knew you were in cover 3.
Cover 2 beater. We usually just went to run game. Usually it was like, hey, cover 1, we're throwing. Cover 2, we just gonna run with Rick. So
we would run some beaters. We were putting those safeties in some bad situations. You know. So, but hey, I got one more question. I got to ask you about playing baseball. What was that like playing 2 sports at the University of Miami? What was that like?
Man, it was hard. People don't know. So I, especially like during the off season, whenever we had spring football and baseball, we had practice Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I had 2-a-days. Saturdays, I would do morning practice and then go to the afternoon baseball games. There were some times where I did have IVs inside my arm because I was so dehydrated. But I loved it. You know, I loved baseball. Unfortunately, I had to give it up. It was too much. You know, I was trying to learn new offense, and I had a little bit of issues with 3. He wanted me to travel to go to the Texas leagues, and I obviously couldn't do that because of football. But I loved the baseball. It was a lot of fun. You know, I even had a home run. That was one of my highlights of my freshman year. So it was a great time. I still talk to a lot of the guys like Ricky Eusebio, Johnny Ruiz. You know, I still talk to some of those guys. So it was a great time. Definitely happy I played baseball there.
Well, welcome to the club of a guy that played 3 sports at the University of Miami.
Yeah, okay. Let me hear. Well, I know 1 football, track and field, basketball.
Hoops.
Oops. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually have a god brother. His name's Trey Donaldson. He plays basketball at Auburn. He plays football and basketball at Auburn.
That's tough, man. It's
Yeah,
tough on your body. I'm feeling it now.
I'm not a basketball player. All my sisters play basketball. So older sister went to Texas A&M Prairie View, and then actually my younger sister now plays basketball at South. So I actually do go to Mobile some. I go to watch her play, and then actually our headquarters for QB Countries there as well.
I tell you what. That playing a double sport or triple sport or whatever, it keeps you busy.
Oh,
You're talking about busy. You don't have time to do anything. Nothing.
Yeah, because one season stops, the other season is starting. So like it does keep you busy. So I loved baseball. Yeah, I loved playing two sports. Kept me out of trouble because at least where I'm from, there's nothing to do. Like it's not like it's Mobile. Like you're gonna drink or go hunting with your boys in the backyard. So. Right.
And 03 was a good old dude, man. I like me in some 03 now. That's my guy. 3 is my guy.
Yeah, no, I like 3. Me and 3 didn't have a bad relationship. I just told him, I was like, man, you guys, partial scholarship. Miami's playing full scholarship for football, so I can't be like, hey, Al Golden, I'm going to Texas to play baseball. I don't think that would fly with any head coach. So I was like, sorry, I gotta go.
For those people that don't know, that's Coach Morris.
Yeah,
we call him 3. Great coach, great dude, man. But man, hey, look, Malik, man. One of the viewers said, "Have you ever thought about getting into coaching?" Because you broke it down. You sound like you were born to do it. But hell, you got so much stuff on your plate right now. I don't know if you got the time, buddy.
Yeah, no, it's hard. What's funny? The first guy to ever really inspire me to coach was James Coley. My freshman year, James was like, hey, Malik, I want to tell you, if you ever want to get into coaching, please call me. So I knew at some point I was going to coach. I was in a little bit of college. I was on staff with Manny. I was on staff with Georgia the year before they won the Natty. And to me, it's just no life. I can maybe do the NFL coaching where, you have the off season, spend time with my family.
Come on to the XFL, dog. Come on to the XFL.
I don't have an off season. I'm good, but people don't understand, man. College coaches, I love football, but I want to have a family. I want to be with my family. I want to vacation. When you're a college coach, it is football during the season. All season, you're flying to recruits. You're all over the country, and I was like, I can't. I gave y'all 20-something years of my life. I need at least 2 or 3 months where I can be myself, go to Hawaii, relax, sip some mimosas, something
Hey, Malik, we were talking earlier in the show about the opportunity that's ahead next week. They got to obviously get through Virginia here on Saturday, but you've got Florida State, primetime, ABC. The season, look, the season's all screwed up. We all know that. But this is an opportunity to change the narrative a little bit. You were obviously in the fray in 2017 when Notre Dame came to town, and that was the night that it was proven that Hard Rock Stadium could be a college stadium, that the University of Miami just had to put a product on the field that would get people to come out and would excite the community. And talk about what that stadium was like that night. You're out there, Mark Richt put in a great game plan. You're running all those QB draws and stuff and doing great things. And it was just a wonderful day and night for Miami. What was it like for you being out there in the middle of that atmosphere? And hopefully it could be recreated to some degree next Saturday.
Yeah, no. So I definitely hope it does. During the NFL draft, prep training, I was at Bomarito's, and one of the guys that were training with me there was Julian Love. So he was a defensive back that got drafted, still plays for the Giants now. And he even told me, he was like, man, the crowd was intimidating. He was like, we've been in a lot of big stadiums, even when I was at Texas A&M, they had a lot of people there, but they weren't necessarily loud. They were doing their singing and their chants, they were uniform and they were swaying, but the Hard Rock was literally vibrating. Especially I'll never forget, I was on the headset. I think I was talking to Mark Richt about the next drive with John, and all of a sudden I remember I had everything cut off because Trajan Bailey caught the pick six and the whole stadium erupted. And I have no idea what was going on. So, it definitely adds a different bit of juice whenever, usually for me during warm-ups, the stadium's empty. When we walked up versus Notre Dame, it was halfway filled during warm-ups. And I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a great game. So, the energy of the fans, a lot of players say they don't play for the fans, but when you're out there and you make a big play and all of a sudden the whole stadium erupts, it does give you that extra energy, that extra boost. So, Obviously, we got to beat Virginia because I think if we beat Virginia, not only do we send a message to ourselves, but we also say, hey, like to Florida State, like, hey, like we're not going to keep this losing streak going. So you guys better buckle up and get ready. If we go out there and lose to Virginia, like the momentum or at least psychological effect that it's going to have on our players is probably going to be bad going into FSU. So to me, it's like take care of Virginia, do what you can do, and then get ready for Florida State.
Wow.
Let's hope so. You think Virginia is going to follow what Duke did?
Not really, to be honest with you. I really liked Riley Leonard. He was a guy that he's trained with at least our program for many years. He's from Fairhope, so if you've been to Spanish Fort, you know Fairhope. So I mean, he's played 6A ball. I mean, the guy was athletic. You know, there were some times like when we played Virginia Tech where you know their quarterback missed a couple open guys, especially on third down. And I was like, you know, Riley Leonard's not going to do that. If there's open guys, he's going to hit it. I can't say the same about the Virginia quarterback, but I think at the end of the day, if we keep any team in, especially when they play us, the University of Miami, like there is a chip on their shoulder because most of those guys at Virginia probably want to be at Miami. So the fact they're playing us and now they have a chance, oh, well, we finally have a chance to beat these guys. Like let's take advantage. So like all the trick plays, anything that you think that they could run, they're probably going to run at this game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing as we seen whenever we played Boston College at BC. Their first like 7 offensive plays were all like double screens, throwbacks, double. You know, it was everything they had. And like until Miami understands that, like we're never going to be back because everyone plays us with a chip on their shoulder and everyone throws everything they have at us. So.
Because of the pride.
No, what's the Emory Williams scouting report? You said you've worked with him. He's come to your guys' facility in Orlando. Hopefully he's going to stick in this recruiting class. He's got great arm talent. Obviously, Jaden Rashad is part of it too. Another kid with great arm talent. What's the Emory Williams scouting report?
Yeah, you know, I think that kid's going to be a lot better than what people think. You know, I know there's a lot of hype about Rashada. Rashada could beat the guy out. But I think he's someone, you know, that's competitive. He loves to work. His IQ is really, really good. He loves football. He's just a football guy. You know, I mean, we talk about like a quarterback that's just a football guy. Like he is that. You know what I mean? So he's someone that like if he signs a big NIL deal, you don't have to worry about him going out there and blowing it on cars or expensive jewelry. Like, you know what I mean? Like his big thing, he might buy himself a truck. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of kid that you're going to get. You're going to get someone that people just attach to. I mean, the kid can throw, make every throw. He's big. He's about 6'3", 6'4". And one thing that I really see in him is that, at least for me, like I was somewhat fit. Not saying that he's not fit, but you can still see that he has some baby fat on his face. So he still has a lot of room to grow, not only with height maybe, but even especially with like muscle. So he's going to get bigger, stronger, faster. So to me, there's so much more upside to Emory that I'm excited to see, you know, as he gets in with Coach Fields and the strength staff at the University of Miami to see like how he develops, because from a fundamental and at least an IQ standpoint, he'll be just as good as even freshmen or sophomores at the University of Miami.
Well, do you have an opinion on whether he sticks?
I think he does. You know, we've talked a couple of times. You know, I kind of told him, I said, hey, man, you know, you're in the same boat that I was in. You know, when I went to Miami, the quarterback that was with me was Brad Kaya. He was a California kid. He was a 4-star. Everyone was happy. But at the end of the day, whether you're in high school, whether you're in college, or whether you make it to the NFL, you're going to have to compete against somebody, whether you think they're better than you or whether they are better than you. So don't run from it now. Like if you go in there and say, hey, you are better than me, you beat me, now I need to transfer, you're going to get so much better because of the stuff that you learned from the competition. If you run, you'll never get better. You'll stay the same quarterback that was too scared to beat someone else out. So to me, it's that part. You know what I mean? Like I was never scared of Brad. I knew Brad was a really good quarterback. But at the end of the day, I think I'm a good quarterback too. You know, if I get my chance to compete, like I'm going to. So to me, it's that mindset. And he said, yes, I love the competition. I love Miami. I want to be there. So I don't think he's someone that's going to run away from this competition.
That's good to hear. That is good to hear.
Malik, thank you, man.
Thank you, man.
No, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you for having me. And Lamar, we got to go golfing sometime. We are going to have another golf tournament. I'm not that good. Amon Richards is actually pretty good. He's not that bad. His putt game needs to get a little better. But
all right. Well, so. Tell him I'm gonna bring my 22 handicap, but tell him to bring his wallet.
All right, perfect. We're down for that. I got you.
Thank you. Have a great night, Malik. Thank you.
Wow,
it's Malik Rosier, man.
Kid. He's a kid that's got his finger on the pulse of a lot of things, man.
He really does, man. He's,
he don't have no time to be a coach. Hell, coaching is a lot of time, but he has a lot of stuff going on. That's great to hear. I think people need to hear about the he got this from the University of Miami. All this stuff, they talk about brotherhood. They talk about, the U and what it's able to provide for us. It's good to hear that someone reached back and found those connections through the U, and because we're supposed to. This is what it's supposed to be about. Because I've heard so many negative things from people who are bitter that we're supposed to be family, we're supposed to be this. Well, you got to reach back out. It just doesn't. It's not going to come to you. You got to come back and try to get back in and try to figure it out. So kudos to him, and it was a great interview, man.
Yeah, he was awesome. He's awesome. Yeah, he really is. All right, Bruce, any parting thoughts from you before I start grilling Lamar here on word association?
Just win on Saturday. That's all I give a damn.
Hey, we're not with Nike anymore. You can't say that.
What? You can't say what?
We're in Adidas school now.
We're in Adidas school. You can't say just win.
Oh, that's right. Can't say I like just a lot. Can't say anymore. Anyway, just want to win the game and get ready for Florida State. And I made a comment. I don't give a damn if Richard Simmons is coaching this team. Just win. I want to win. Just win.
Richard Simmons. Whoa. I don't know about that one, dog. I'm going to let you go on that one. All right, Bruce, I'll call you, man.
We'll see you Saturday on the post-game show. All right, LT, let's before we
first of all, Bruce said Richard Simmons. Is he talking about the little jazz side guy? Holy crap.
Hey, let's before we get to word association real quick, these guys on YouTube have been posting a lot of good stuff. Let's give them love for a couple minutes. Burley Kane says that the players that have had 3 different head coaches, and a lot of them have.
That's hard.
Yeah. What impact does that have?
Oh, it's hard. I mean, you got 3 different philosophies. Not only you got different head coaches, you got different position coaches too. So everybody's different. Some guys might be all hell bent when they walk in, and some guys might not want to be all yelling. And it's just you have to get to know. They have to get to know you. You got to get to know them. It can be hard on these kids. I mean, this is it's a hard thing to have different coaches in there when you're trying to get some type of continuity. It's just like having different locker rooms. It's just like having different guys line up on the O-line. It's hard. It's very hard when you don't have some type of continuity.
Well, you look at Tyler Van Dyke. He had to learn a whole new system this year after he had a great end of last year and last year's offense. Now he's got to learn Josh Gaddis's offense. Yep. And, it's not going so great early in the year. And now there's the question, should we go back to running the stuff last year? And there's tension with Josh Gaddis, I'm sure. And, a lot starts going on.
In.
Nellis Caden's back on the Kevin Steele topic. A defensive coordinator should know his players' limitations. That's his job. Should coaches know their players inside and out, what they can do, what they can't do? For example, and we're talking about changing coaching staffs, and this is a great example, Lamar. We've watched DJ Ivey get beat on that exact same route with a speed receiver that happened in the Middle Tennessee game, for example. Exact same route. He does not handle speed receivers well. And DJ Ivey doesn't run 4-3. Like he just doesn't. So he's out there on an island in the Middle Tennessee game. Kevin Steele does not have that history with DJ Ivey. He may not have really quite understood the degree to where you cannot put DJ Ivey in that situation. And then we talked earlier, I think the advanced scouting kind of broke down a little bit in that situation too. But coaches, I mean, they got to know their players' limitations, right?
If a guy's doing something in practice, and think about this, and this is what scares me sometimes when I hear about in spring practice, the defense is dominating or stuff like that. You're like, well, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because, hey, if he's doing it in practice, he's defending us in practice, then maybe we aren't that good. Maybe we don't have a guy that can go deep. Maybe he saw DJ, because when I went out there to the practice that one day, there were 12 50-50 balls, and we came up with none of them. So, I mean, maybe in practice he's able to do it, but you get in the game where guys have more speed, maybe you don't make that call. Or, it's just different, man. I like that kid, DJ Ivy, man. I want to see him succeed. Yeah, I want to see him succeed. He's a really good kid. I've known him. I recruited him. It looks great. I just hope it works out for him.
You're making a great point right now that I have noticed at the University of Miami for many, many years. And when you go through spring practice, you go through fall camp, your only look at your football team is against your own football team. And I have felt like the last several coaching staffs have gone through those situations and ended up overvaluing the talent that they really had. And
all hype teams.
Yes. And they don't figure it out sometimes until the middle of the season. Like, whoa, this guy's not as great as I thought he was now that we're playing other teams.
Hey, when you get to watch your offense or defense, you know their signals. You know what they're doing. You read the script. You can be a practice All-American now. You sure can. I've seen some guys try to be practice All-Americans. It's just when you get out there against that other team, when you really have to depend on your skills, that sometimes guys falter. And
the thing that made you guys so great was your practices were harder than any games. Your competition on the practice field was way more intense than anything you've seen.
And they knew what we were doing. Shit, it was hard. Ryan McNeil would sit out there and call out the damn plays, and you still got to make the play. But that was the beauty of it, because we felt like if I can beat this guy in practice when he knows my moves, he knows the audibles, he knows all this stuff, then boy, it's gonna be hell on other guys on Saturday.
Yeah, and they don't have that in modern day Miami football yet. Hopefully Mario can get it back. He's going to try as hard as somebody humanly can. They don't have that right now. Their toughest matchups are on game day, not on the practice field.
Of course.
Zach Lesnar wants to know, what does improvement for Miami look like next year? I'll add the rest of this year to that question. What do you think?
I just want to get through this year. I can't even think to next year. I don't want to give up on my guys. I'm not going to give up on my classmate. I just want them guys to win a couple games, and maybe even win a game they're not supposed to win. How about that? And if we can do that, then it gives you momentum going into next season and recruiting. You still got this season to play. I wouldn't totally throw away this season because we still have games to play. And who knows? They might surprise you. Hopefully it doesn't get worse, but it can get better.
All right, Lamar, let's for one last time talk a little bit about the sponsors of tonight's show. Let's start with Caneswear. I'm gonna play the commercial, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about what they got going on at the store.
Welcome to Caneswear. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has all latest merchandise for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Inter Miami Soccer, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of I-595, or online at Caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
Look at this.
Wow, that's nice right there. That's it.
That's the Miami Nights stuff.
The Miami Nights stuff. Miami Nights stuff. That's sweet now. That's for prime time. Is that for prime time?
That's for prime time next week, man. Florida State. That's the jersey they'll be wearing. You can get it at Caneswear. You can get the hat, and they've also got some T-shirts.
Yeah,
that match those colors.
I got to go by there. They got regular work hours this week. Tuesday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sunday to Monday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they also, for all you Panthers fans in there, they have Panthers gear. So come by. They got jerseys. They're getting the reverse retro jerseys in a few weeks. So go check them out. They're getting those in. I mean, they're definitely the store for all the Miami sports in South Florida.
Richard Hill says, wow. Nah, he's I'm just kidding. He was saying wow about something else. But so the Miami Nights stuff is obviously really, really special. And we encourage everybody, go to Caneswear, get your Miami Night stuff. And once again, a shout out to the law office of Christine Rosendahl. Lamar, you have that little card in your wallet.
That's right. I keep it. I
can't leave home without it.
Can't leave home without it.
512-6199. Christine Rosendahl, SESQPA@hotmail.com. If you call, I'm sure she'll send you the little black card that Lamar keeps in his wallet. And if you ever get in the jam in South Florida, Christine Rosendahl is your go-to person. All right, Lamar, let's take this home with a little word.
All right.
Association.
All righty.
The season's been a little rough, man. You can see the stress on his face. Let's start with Mario Cristobal.
Old classmate. Man, it's, you wasn't expecting this. Well, I don't know if he was expecting to be truly successful from the beginning, but I don't think he was truly thinking that he would be not this good, So he's in a little pickle here because, we gave him a lot of money to come here, and he has a great staff that we paid a lot of money to, and these kids are getting a lot of money in our ideas. So we're the team right now that people are laughing at because they were already jealous of the fact that, and they were, making the statements about, Miami's buying their players. Well, you know what? It's not working out. So I really believe he's trying to figure out, how can I get back to the drawing board and make this better? Who does not need to be here? And who do I need to bring in to make this better? And I think that's what he's really thinking about as the leader of this organization. Him and Alonzo Highsmith are probably having some late night conversations, early morning conversations, maybe some walks around Green Tree. You probably see them walking by the tennis court all around the campus, and they're talking about who should they keep, who can we get rid of, who wants to leave, and who doesn't deserve to be here anymore. So it's going to be some changes. There always is when you have seasons like this. Unfortunately, if it was going good, everybody would be safe, but nobody should be safe, not even the janitors.
I'll tell you one guy that should be safe, and that's Colby Young.
Well, Kobe should, right now, old Kobe that didn't know the offense, somebody's teaching him. And kudos to whoever that is, whether it's Coach Gaddis or Coach Cooney, who's the assistant receiver coach. Somebody's spending some extra time with him, and they deserve credit because the kid, obviously, from what I heard, is a real humble kid that wants to continue to work hard. And when you have a guy like that, you have to spend extra time with him. So kudos to whoever is teaching this kid, and I hope continued success. And again, I hope it rubs off on other players at that position and on the team.
Do you see a lot of upside with him? I mean, he's just getting started. Do you see?
That's the way I look at it. He's just getting started. I think that the more and more he learns, the more and more he continues to learn. I don't know where he started from, so it's hard for me to say. But if he started from the bottom, he got a long way to go. From what I've seen, to be that big and to be physical and to make plays, obviously, make the one-hand catch and make the touchdown run, that's beautiful, man. That's what it's about. So I would say continue to teach him and play off his success. Play to his strengths. It looks like his strengths are down the field, catching the ball, also breaking tackles. Hell, just let him catch the ball, run him on some crossing routes so he can turn upfield and let him do his thing. But those other guys, I really want those other guys to jump in there too, because it will make his job a lot easier. Mallory, this should help Mallory out because now they won't be as keen on Mallory. So it could help us. It could help us on offense.
Well, the guy that's going to be looking for him on Saturday is Jake Garcia, I believe. Your thoughts on Jake?
Jake, he's this week should be good for him as far as, this is your game plan. You know who your go-to guys are from practice. You got a big old receiver with a great catch radius. You got a tight end that's supposed to be really good. You're not too sure your O-line, so now it's your job to try to pump those guys up, give them the confidence, make sure they got all the right calls, sit down with them, go to lunch with them, or talk ball with them, talk protections with them. Get your backs to understand they need to hold on to the ball. It's your team now. It's your turn if that's what they're going to do. Now, it's going to be hard if it's not, and it's somebody else's, because you're making a game plan for another person. So hopefully, I'm not saying I hope TBD is not in there, but, you know, if they got that one quarterback, Jake, it's your turn. Let's see what you got. Turn him loose and let him go. Let it fly, my friend. Let it fly.
And the guy who will be turning him loose and letting it go had an offense a few days ago that committed 8 turnovers, Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Gaddis.
It goes back to what I just said. You know, you gotta you cater your offense to your guy's strength. You know, you got tight end, a receiver that's now making plays for you. You got a quarterback that you're catering your offense to, your game plan to. You just got to get your protections right with those guys. Coach Mirrorball, all those guys, Coach Ponce, Coach Field, you know, running back coach, all those guys, they got to be on the same page, man, because this is an important game to build some type of confidence going into a primetime game. You want to have some type of momentum going into that Florida State game. You do not want to go out and play crappy and then have a 7:30 game where all those guys, those big time announcers are on there talking about what you've done this season that hadn't been worth the crap. So hopefully we can get it together and win this game this weekend and get ready for a good old fashioned backyard Tallahassee versus South Beach football game.
It'd be awesome, and hopefully it plays out that way. Well, Lamar, you made it through. You didn't lose your voice. You had to do a little extra. You had to do a little extra talking because somebody decided to go out to dinner instead of come on the show.
I'm sure it was a great dinner. Maybe Joe Stonecraft or something like that. He's a Hall of Famer. He deserves it. So kudos to him.
All right, LT. Well, best of luck up in Orlando with the XFL work that you're doing, and we'll see what happens with the Canes on Saturday, and we'll be back here next Wednesday night to talk about it. So thank you to Caneswear. Thank you to the law office of Christine Rosendahl. Thank you to Malik Rosier for an amazing 35, 40 minutes on the show. He was spectacular. And everybody enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy the Canes Virginia game at 12:30 on Saturday. Have a great night, everybody.
Go Canes.